Hey everybody, Michael with Pigeon Hill Brewing Company here today. Thank you all for joining us for the third episode of Tuesdays with Michael. I just want to make sure that I can confirm I still have not figured out what I'm doing. The chances of me figuring that out in the next 4 weeks are probably 0 to none. So we'll just keep winging this and try to keep improving every week, but more importantly, just having fun. For those of you who haven't joined us yet, Tuesdays with Michael presents a chance to get to know some of the awesome people here in Muskegon, the greater Muskegon County, really, and give them a chance to talk about their why. Why Muskegon? Why the path that they chose? Why is what they do so special, so cool, or important to the community? Every week's going to vary from food to politics to festivals to marketing and beyond. We do have rough outlines each week of what we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, we just kind of make it up as we go. And questions are encouraged. After my really, really awesome, genuinely, I had a blast last week, but after my awesome guest last week, I did want to make sure and note that while we strive to be family friendly, at the end of the day, we are a brewery and we are drinking beer tonight. So please consider this a 21 and up show. Like I mentioned, we're going to drink beer, and that is my sales pitch for the night. It's also the reason I get to sit in my office and drink beer on Tuesday nights. Pigeon Hill is open for indoor service here at the Brewers Lounge. That's at our production facility. Directly below me, folks are drinking beer, and that's literally it for my sales pitch. So I hope to see you out here. Just like last week, I do have 2 gift cards to give away. I've got a banner for that. There we go. Just like the last 2 weeks, we have 2 gift cards to give away, both to the Cheese Lady for obvious reasons. The first one's going to be given away to whomever asked Shelley's favorite question tonight. Even if it's not shown on screen or answered, she'll have a chance to go through them all tomorrow and tonight and let me know who she wants to win. And then the other one will be given away to a person to correctly answer a random trivia question I asked near the end of the show. Shelley doesn't know what the question is, nor do I. I will hopefully figure that out by the end of the show. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our guest, Shelley Lewis, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the hyphenated name. Sorry, Shelley. You can tell us when you're on. I hopefully don't have to explain a whole lot about her because she is the Cheese Lady. She's, like last week, a guest with whom I don't have a long-standing friendship yet, but by the end of the show, I think we'll have remedied that problem. So in the meantime, let's get to know the cheesemonger. Shelley, welcome.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, we've got to get through some background about you before we get too tipsy and just kind of go off into random asides. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Whitehall.
And you've lived a few other places.
Yeah, well, probably the place that had the biggest cheese culturally impact on me was I lived in Ann Arbor for about 4 years while my husband was going to school. And there are a lot of good cheese places there. And it was, at the time, it was a little tricky to move back to Muskegon. And it was in 2002. And there wasn't really anything going on. But we came back to visit. And the Amazon building was being turned into these beautiful apartments. And so we decided to come back. And we just felt like that there was a little bit of energy to the town. And so it was cool to come back. We weren't sure if we were just taking a break from living in Ann Arbor, if we were, we wanted to be part of something. We wanted to come back. We felt like Muskegon had so much to give that we were hoping that people were beginning to finally see the potential that it had.
Absolutely.
So I lived in Ann Arbor for 4 years. So
I'm getting a little bit of that's fine. We'll just roll with it. We didn't get that during the pre-roll.
No,
at the end of the day, it's probably going to freak me out more than anybody else.
Okay.
So, you came back, you saw the potential. What kept you here?
Well, it was just little by little, there were things growing and things going on. Partially the reason we love the area so much, Ann Arbor's cool and all, but I miss the water. I'm so used to having what looks like an ocean in my backyard that I can go to anytime I want. It's not like it's just this little creek or little man-made lake. Like, it looks like an ocean. You can't see across it. Like, I miss the water. Like, I miss the water a lot. So the water and my family, I love my mom and my siblings and my dad. And I wanted to be here too. So, but then I think it was about 4 or 5 years after I lived here that I started working at the Cheese Lady. So, I'm glad that came along when it did, because before that, I actually was involved in getting the Harbor Theater back and running when it was a concert place, to turning that into a theater when I moved back too. So that was fun. Well, for a while, but I didn't know what was going to keep me around. But then the Cheese Lady showed up, so that was pretty easy.
So I know that you weren't the original Cheese Lady, and I actually have a picture of her queued up for this moment. We've got some cool pictures I really hope we get to tonight. We have seen some of them.
Nice.
Can you fill us in a little bit on the background of the Cheese Lady? Because it's like the quintessential rebirth of Muskegon's story.
Yeah, I love Kathleen's story so much. So she was selling European foods up and down the West Coast, out of Chicago. And she won a trip to Europe. And when she went to France, there were all these cool little markets that sold cheeses. And so she decided to come back to Muskegon, retire. And actually, that's one of my trips to Switzerland. Isn't that beautiful?
European pictures queued up.
Oh man, I mean, it's like some farmer's market, sold out. Went home, bought 10 wheels of cheese, came to the farmer's market, sold out. And the rest is kind of history. And it really had like an organic growth to it, because she was really trying to semi-retire. She really was trying to it's just kind of fascinating how we spend our whole lives trying to build stuff up. And then all of a sudden we decide to kind of follow our passion, and it turns into this whole other thing, because it's not just her store. I mean, there are soon to be 8 Cheese Ladies. So it's pretty impressive from somebody just wanting to retire and sell cheese at the Muskegon farmers market. And had you told anybody that she was going to go to the farmers market and start selling cheese and turn it into a business, people would have absolutely thought she was bonkers, Absolutely,
especially at that time.
At that time.
There was nothing here in Muskegon at that time. And now when Alana and I travel, we are obviously looking for cheese constantly. And we can't, outside of Europe, we can't find anything like the Cheese Lady.
No.
You'll be in Grand Rapids talking to a friend about the Cheese Lady, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a Muskegon thing, no big deal. It's grown from something that I want to say never should have worked.
I think if you were to lay out the business plan to somebody who helps up and coming businesses like Score or something like that, they would have said, oh, that poor woman is just going to lose her shirt on this whole thing. And, it's the cheese, but also it's like the culture behind it that Kathleen created, because everybody that came into the store was like her cheese friend. And she felt she knew they were there because they were interested in the same thing she was in. So she built up a family of cheese people here in town. And like I said, very organically happened. And then we started with a little teeny tiny shop on Clay, a couple doors down from Carmen's and the tattoo area, 54, also not far from them. Or is it 51? I always get confused. Anyways. The tattoo place, but it was a tiny little place. And after about one holiday, I think one Christmas, we outgrew it, and they bought the building where we're at right now. So it's pretty cool how it worked out, because even when I went and applied for the job, Kathleen said, I'm never going to need anybody. So I was actually working in a law office, and I just wanted to have something fun to do. And
I said, I'm so sorry. A recovering attorney. I am so sorry.
Right, exactly. So, it's not a place for people that like people. to be that want to chat and not talk about heavy things. And yeah, so I really needed something that was fun and easy and something I really enjoyed. And so when I went and applied, she didn't think that she was ever going to need me at all. And now look at it. So.
Well, I know you talked about cheese friends, and that's actually kind of my cheese lady origin story. My grandmother, who was near and dear to my heart. She's actually, wrong side, right behind me there, sitting on French toast. My grandmother developed lactose intolerance, which I have also developed. And I remember how excited she was the day that she loved cheese, but she couldn't eat cheese anymore. And I remember how excited she was the day that she went to the cheese lady. And I think she actually told me about this over the phone. And she was introduced to the fact that she could eat aged cheese. And she became a devout crusher, I guess, if you will, of Stilton, which to this day is my go-to. But that was one of those moments where I went, wow, you just walked into a store and they like guided you through that process. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And it won her over and in turn won me over, way back when. All right, we've got a bunch of people. So Morgan says cheese friends are the best. These aren't even questions. Although there is one that I am going to have us answer.
I better look at the comment.
About cheese friends.
Oh gosh.
Greg wants to know what we're drinking.
Oh, well, I'm drinking the raspberry. Wait, no. The cocktail.
Oh, the Randy Shandy.
Yes, that's what I'm drinking.
Half Renegade and half tart cherry cocktail.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I also have a blend. It is mostly No Dignity, a little bit of Rennie, and a little bit of Velociraptor. Sometimes I just get crazy and experiment. When we
were kids, we called those like a suicide, when you'd go through the fountain drinks and you'd get a little bit of everything. At least at the roller skating rink, that's what we called it, a suicide.
I definitely try that with all of our beer. And sometimes my go-to from us is our grapefruit Rennie mixed with No Dignity. There's just something about it where it's got the grapefruit and it's got a little bit of that juicy characteristic from the No Dignity, a little body from the No Dignity. The blends are fun.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
I've heard it's dangerous, so we'll see. Based on last week, we'll know in about 30 minutes.
Okay, it goes down real easy. I started about 15 minutes ago, so yeah, We'll see.
That's how these shows develop. That's the goal right there. So I think I had one more thing that this is kind of just curiosity from me. You started out and you talked to Kathleen. She's like, no, I don't need help. I'm retiring. This is not going anywhere. And then she opens up a brick and mortar. The next thing you know, you're no longer, or you're still at the law office, but you're working with a cheese lady. And then all of a sudden you're a full-blown cheesemonger and you are the cheese lady. How does that happen?
Well, you have to eat a lot of cheese, like a lot of cheese. That's the main thing. I mean, if you eat a lot of cheese, you eventually become a cheesemonger. So be careful, Michael, be careful. I started out just working part-time. I think I just started out working Saturdays, just on Saturday for 4 hours at a time. But it didn't take long for her to call me back. I think it was about a month, and she needed somebody to be at the store when she went to the farmer's market. So it didn't take that long. I worked part-time for quite a while. And then eventually I worked into full-time, and it just got to be where more and more I was on the floor, and Kathleen had other things that she had to take care of. And really, to become a good cheesemonger, you really have to be interested in the cheese. You have to, when I first started, it was really hard to find information about cheese online. It was a while ago. It was like in 2007 that I started. So it was really hard to find. So I'd dig out, like Kathleen had a lot of old books. So when you're interested in anything, you just start digging into it. Now, I'm not a certified cheesemonger. There's actually a certification process you can go through. But I'd say at this point in time, I'm going to officially dub myself, a veteran cheesemonger at this point in time. But that's just one that's in the States. There are some European ones that you can go get certified, but I'm just probably not going to go through the trouble to ever do it. I just say eat a lot of cheese, and if you're interested in it, I just learned more and more and more about it. I was just curious. So that's what makes a cheesemonger, really, is just a curiosity for it. And we're turophiles. Turophile, that's a word for lovers of cheese.
Oh.
So I'm a turophile. So
I threw this. Morgan is just. For those who don't know, Morgan works at the Cheese Lady. In fact, Morgan is her cheese girl. She's also
because the internet had just been invented. No, I said it was really hard to find cheese information online. So it's just really hard to find. There just weren't, it's like now you can find anything. If you would go to look for stuff, I mean, the other cheese shops weren't online. Most of the cheese was imported, so it was really hard to find it. And we didn't have Google Translate. It didn't happen. I'm not saying it was like 100 years ago, but it just wasn't the same. It was really hard to find information about cheeses, and it's so easy now.
It's the same is actually true of beer. So I think you asked about this called Mikey Wiener beer. And you'd asked, I should take this off the screen, so I'll throw that up and you can answer it when I'm done. But when I first heard about a wiener beer, I was like, what? This is the best thing ever, because I'm 5 years old at heart. And I mean, years ago, it took me a while to figure out that a wiener beer was nothing more than a Vienna lager, just because, the wealth of knowledge that we have online right now, even 10 years ago, didn't exist.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, just when I started, it was only 14 years ago, but it was,
right.
It was hard to find stuff. What?
When you get your picture taken, what does the photographer have you say? Sorry. Do you say cheese? Oh, did we lose you? Uh-oh. All right, so I'm going to take a guess and say she says beer. I'm going to remove her, and we'll bring her right back. All right, I am just going to talk for a second until I see Shelley moving again. Shelley, let me know when you're back. This is actually the first time we've had this happen, which is kind of exciting, that I've made it this far without any major technical difficulties. So while we wait for Shelley to come back, I'm going to pull up a few of these. And I actually can't answer this question, but if anyone in the comments can. One of the things that I love about the Cheese Lady, which is not true right now, just because of COVID. And for those who don't know, they are extremely, extremely good about COVID principles. All right, she'll come back. Don't worry. Is that you get to try everything. I mean, when you're buying good cheese, it's an investment sometimes. It's all reasonably priced, but it's not always cheap per se. And so the ability to try it is pretty incredible. Lachelle's saying that Shelley's having her picture taken, which is awesome. Let's see. This I can actually name. Or I think Shelley can tell me if I'm wrong when she gets back. The cheeses come named. So I actually have a whole charcuterie board here that was provided for the show. I don't know if we're going to get through it all, but each of them comes with a name right on it. And as far as I'm aware, and Morgan could chime in the comments as well, everything comes to them. I mean, it's essentially a brand, which Shelley can probably talk about when we get her back on. The idea being that you're buying a specific cheese from a specific manufacturer, just like a beer. And Nicole, thank you. If I've got any other fellow cheesemongers while I answer these questions, Tom, I mean, for us, like, this is the quintessential gift, really. At the end of the day, people come to Muskegon and we're hooking them up with the Cheese Lady. And that's something that's really fun, that we've got friends who crave these businesses that are only available here in Muskegon. And it looks like Shelley's back.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was totally answering questions for you.
Okay.
I may have broken a sweat, but we're good.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. I must have lost something. Anyways, sorry. I didn't mean to leave you hanging.
No, you're fine. So Lachelle wants to see my cheese plate again.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm throwing cheese. That actually reminds me something that I know you do, but it's been kind of fun. We've actually had a competition between friends online, putting together charcuterie boards.
Ooh.
So this is one that we did for Alana. Put this together,
Okay.
Thanksgiving, and then
Nice.
I made this one. I called this a charcuterie party board.
All right. I think there has to be meat and cheese on it.
There's cream cheese inside the spicy pickle wrap.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I lost that battle,
Yeah,
but
you did. You did.
all right. Let's see. Pete has another question. Have you ever made cheese? That's an interesting.
I have made cheese. I used to think I wanted to make cheese, but they are up at like the crack of dawn. So they milk cows at like 5 in the morning. There was a cheese making place in Coopersville. I don't think that they're making cheese anymore. And they were making raw milk Gouda style cheeses. And I went there one day and made, oh gosh, how cute is that cow? But I went there once and made cheese with them. And it's a lot of work. And I would rather be the one that brings it to you versus the one that makes it. It's a lot of fun. It's super cool to do. I am not good at sticking to recipes, and you're not going to get the same cheese every single time if you don't make it the same way every single time. So I think I would probably lose money in that profession. But I love to visit cheesemakers. I think they're some of the hardest working people. They make cheese at 5 in the morning and then they make it again at 5 at night. I mean, and 7 days a week. They don't have breaks. They work really, really hard.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of us, and this is not true of everybody. Some of my brewers still homebrew, but most of us here, at least, I used to love homebrewing, and now it's like when I have spare time, like there's beer right there. Why would I go home and make my own? Because I was terrible at it. So that's the best reason for me not to.
Yeah.
Sorry. I like this question. Nicole, what's the cheese you can eat the most of in one sitting?
What's the most you can eat in one sitting?
What cheese can you eat the most of in one sitting?
Oh man. I think if I have something ooey and gooey and it goes down dangerously easy, so like a triple cream or a brie, something that's not so strong that I probably could polish off a half a pound before I kind of went, okay, that's enough, easily.
Yeah, I know. In our house, it's definitely brie.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like that extra gooey brie that just kind of melts all over the cracker. You generally half pound down before you realize that you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
You probably have to go back to the cheese lady to get another half pound for tomorrow because you had in the house.
Yeah, so that's the easiest one. You don't even have to really cut it to just devour it.
Yeah. Even with those Almondinas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Stupid.
Pam wants to know if you have a favorite country for cheese.
Oh. I'm going to plead the fifth on that. No, I don't. I kind of love them all. It'd be like picking a favorite child or something. I can't pick a favorite country. I've been to Switzerland. I visited a bunch of old world cheesemakers, so I'm really partial to those cheeses from up in the Alps. But I love French, Italian. I love all their cheeses.
Good pictures for that.
Yes. Exactly.
I just added to my list, who is your favorite child? So we'll see if you can. Let me check the questions here. Oh, before we get into Pete's question, which I am totally curious about, what really makes countries different on cheese? Let's say is it the ambiance? Is it the animals? Is it the terroir? I mean, what is it?
Well, a lot of times it's the history with a particular style of cheese, I think. The French do a great job perpetrating and making the cheeses from all of their fellow countries, but I wouldn't want to eat a Parmesan from the French. I would want to go to Parma, Italy, and get Parmesan from the people that have made it the same way generation after generation. There's something about that culture, something about they just know what they're doing, you know? I don't know how else to explain it. I don't want to necessarily go to Italy and buy a brie. You know, so I think it's partially, of course, the terroir makes a big difference too. You know, it's like growing a grape in every region and every wine's going to taste different. So you definitely, so many people, I mean, to use Parmesan as an example again, so many people have all over the States tried to create Parmigiano Reggiano, and they've even gotten some of the cultures that the Italian people are making, and they've tried to make the same thing. And there's just something missing. So I feel like there's just something about those areas that they come from that you can't reproduce. It's a time thing, you know, a history. I don't know exactly what it is.
I understand. I think about champagne. So I've had incredible bubbly wine from all over the world. But there is something about, and perhaps part of it's the experience, there's something about drinking champagne in a small cellar in the Champagne region that tells you that what is in your glass is the best iteration of that style you've ever had.
Right. Right.
And I've been lucky to have that experience, probably only once, but you know, there's something about just, it may not be the newest version, but it's the most classic.
Right. Right. Yeah, but I mean, of course, if you get a cheddar from England, Wisconsin, you know, start getting cheddars from all over, then you're really going to notice the terroir. You're going to notice that the milk is different. It actually tastes different because of what the animals graze on. Then that's going to actually affect it, what they're eating and where it comes from, for sure.
You answered a question that came in like as it came in. That was actually pretty impressive. I think you have ESPN. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah, I have that.
It's totally ESPN.
Yes.
This intrigues me. Do you have a favorite animal for cheese?
Do I have a favorite animal?
Animal.
I'm really partial to the brown Swiss cow. And it's not necessarily because of their milk. It's because look at that face. They are.
I would take that home.
They're ridiculously adorable. Now that you can get really elaborate in the world of cows, but I think that to me, that's like the clat there. Yeah, I walked right past that cow and it was like, what are you doing up here? And I said, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know why I hiked up these Alps. Yeah, super cute though.
I would never, ever in a million years replace my golden retriever Sadie, but if I did, it would be with that cow.
Right. Like everybody that has a golden retriever, your next pet's going to be a brown cow. If they would make smaller versions, you know, we would have them in our yards.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Reminds me of my favorite sandwich. How now, brown cow?
Yeah, see?
Another thing that my grandmother got me to love. So, all right, Tom, I see your question. Kathy, I think yours was answered. I was going to throw one in. I wanted to throw in like an oddball here. Not who's your favorite child. That's just cruel.
I have a favorite child. I actually do. So I shouldn't say that people don't.
No. That's not happening on this show.
Okay. No. I mean, they all know who it is, so it's okay.
I mean, at least they know.
They do. And it's a competing position, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's a competition. I would definitely lose in my family. All right, so here's my question before we get back to Tom's. Am I the only person who has walked into the cheese lady on Christmas Eve and immediately had a panic attack and purchased all the wrong items?
I don't always know because I don't know that they come back or they tell me later that they got the wrong stuff because they just are horrified and they never come back. But I could get a sense of shell shock from you when you were ordering your cheeses. You just didn't know what you were doing. But that's one of the things that we feel like. I feel like a lot of people come in like you and they don't know what to do, but that's why we're there. I mean, that's exactly what a cheesemonger is for. We're there to hold your hand, to tell you it's okay. We're going to get you the cheese you need and just to relax. I mean, really, so many people, when they come up to the cheese counter, look overwhelmed and terrified. They're looking at that board and there's a couple hundred cheeses up there. And really, that's one of the reasons that we're there, is we don't have it in a case, is you can't just walk up and pick it. You have to talk to us, and we're going to figure out what you need cheese for and help you figure out the best ones to get. So what you did is totally normal. We couldn't break through. We couldn't get you to listen to us and say, it's okay, we're going to help you through this. You just kind of panicked and left. So you're not the only one.
Well, I panicked and ordered, in my defense.
You did. Yeah, you did. But you were ready to get out of there. For
those who don't know, I hate crowds. COVID has actually been good for Michael in at least one regard. Crowds are very, very stressful for me. So if you ever see me in public and I just kind of run in the opposite direction, I swear it's literally me. But that's what happened that day. Otherwise, the experiences have all been great. And totally, this one, that totally ties into this question. Because I know early on, you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, there are so many cheeses. And what do you do? What do you ask?
What do you ask?
Yeah.
You can actually say, I don't know what to do. You can actually just say, I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to do this. And we will say, that's what we're here for. What do you need cheese for? How many people do you have? I mean, we have all the questions to help dive down we're there. We know the answer to all these things, so we can help you figure out what you need. So there are cheese shops that actually don't even have cheese on the board, because when people come in and look, they just get overwhelmed. And there are places that actually have eliminated the cheese board because people come in and they see it and they think, oh my gosh, I have to know what I need. And you really don't. I tell people all the time, just ignore the board and talk to me, and we're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. You're going to enjoy what you get. You're going to go home and be glad you did it. I mean, I think there's a lot of people are often worried that it's going to be pretentious when they walk into a cheese shop.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it should be at all. I think everybody should be able to walk in and say, I don't know what I'm doing, and us to say, okay, that's what we're here for,
Can't confirm. Still haven't figured out what I'm doing after all these years. So we've had a few, someone asked about pairing cheese with bourbon. And then, so I've never even thought about that. I mean, I paired cheese with beer, and we actually have pictures. That was something that was really fascinating for me, pairing cheese with beer at Pigeon Hill. We pair it with wine all the time as well. But are there any other things that you would pair cheese with?
I mean, anything that you drink, you can pair cheese with. It can be really simple. It can be super duper simple. If you like a cheese and you like a beverage, drink them together. Odds are really good that your tastes are going to kind of follow those things. And, you might find that you generally like sweeter things. So your wine might be sweet and your cheese might be sweet, and it'll all work out together, or maybe you're a fan of, I don't know, bourbon or whiskey or scotch, or I like gin. I drink a lot of gin with my cheese, and gin seems to go with everything. So I don't know any examples off the top of my head what goes with bourbon exactly. I think a lot of people get like the aged Goudas with that, but I always tell people half the fun is just experimenting, So if you're trying to look for a cheese that goes with it, come on in the store and we would help you get like a variety of cheeses. Not that this is a sales pitch, but we would help you get a variety of cheeses that might work, from a milder to a stronger, and just see partially is just seeing what you like,
Yeah. No, I know the pairings that. I threw the banner back. I don't know what I'm doing, obviously.
You still don't.
If I ever figure it out, I'll just quit. I'm done. That's the point at which we just cancel the show. I know for me, when I'm looking at my other screen, because I still have these pictures of cheese and beer on it, and for me, the Pigeon Hill and cheese and beer pairings were some of the most eye-opening experiences I had with cheese, because I realized that cheese doesn't just need to be had with wine. And that was kind of,
Wow.
in fact, I personally think that the beer might have paired better than most of the wines that I've had with cheese. And that was kind of awesome to realize the versatility of cheese and, of course, of beer. Not that it's a competition, but we win. So, go ahead.
Things that are effervescent, like beer, cuts through the fat. So there's something about like eating cheese and beer together that's just naturally wonderful.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What is the most mispronounced cheese name, and is it this?
Well, okay, so Gouda, isn't that a cute label? Gouda is probably, we don't even say it. Totally right. It's supposed to be Gouda, like guttural, like Gouda. And we say Gouda, so we're somewhere in between. But it looks like Gouda, so everybody says Gouda, and it's, more fun to say, I'm having a Gouda day versus, Gouda day is not the same thing. So Gouda is a lot. We get a lot of Havaratis for Havarti. I won't say there are some really weird ones, but that Gouda is the biggest for sure. Sure.
I mean, I actually anticipated that question, and so I had that picture queued up just because I know that is the one that I called it Gouda for the longest time.
I did too.
And I think I was at the cheese lady, and someone else ordered Gouda. I wasn't corrected. Someone just said, I'd like the Gouda. And I was like, what are they getting? Oh, that's actually what I want.
Right. And we don't really correct people either. We just say, we have just said it enough that people usually they just pick up,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, all right. We've got what cheese? I like this one. What cheese is the stinkiest? Sorry.
Oh, what cheese is the stinkiest?
Yes.
Well, Limburger still is one of the smelliest cheeses that we have in the store. But I did give you one of the stinky ones. I gave Michael some cheeses today too. There's one on there that looks a little orangish on the rind, and this one actually is a washed rind. So any of the cheeses that have a little bit of a washed rind to them are going to be pungent. So they're going to smell a little bit like a foot or a dirty locker room. The back of my brother's Suburban, when all of his friends came home from football practice, they'd all throw their gear in the back, and I, of course, had to sit in the back because I was a little sister. This is what it smelled like back there. But I love those cheeses. So the stinkiest cheeses could be the ones that are, they actually take them and wash them with a bacteria wash. So it's funky, but it smells more wild than it tastes.
It's actually really mild in flavor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fun for me. I had heard that, I think, but I mean, it's the same principle that we use with sour beer, where you get those funky flavors from the bacteria in sauerkraut. I make sauerkraut, and it's family tradition. So you can get these crazy funky flavors and surprisingly mild tastes.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a little bit of like beef fat, but it smells. It just smells. There's nothing you can say other than it smells. Like before we came on live, you were saying, my whole office is going to probably smell from one of these here, and that's the one.
Oh wait, I can't confirm. I actually changed my shoes and left the other ones outside. I wasn't sure.
There's a cheese in France called Epoisse that people are not allowed to take, or at least they weren't before. Maybe they are now, but they weren't allowed to take on public transportation because it smells so bad.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool? But it doesn't taste as strong as it smells. It's just got an offensive smell to it. It just tastes wonderful.
If you take the wash rind off, the cheese in between does it have that same smell?
No, it's just the outside. No. No, in a Limburger, you could even take home like a brick of Limburger, and it's been washed on all the sides. You could actually like rinse it under your sink, under cold water, and scrub all that stink off, and put it in your fridge, and your family won't complain that you brought home stinky cheese. But I like to eat the rind. I like the stinky stuff. So I like the texture, and it does give a little more flavor. If you avoid the rind, you're missing something. But these kind of like ooey gooey ones, I think, go really well, especially with beer. And these are the ones that like the Trappist monks, when they were making beer, and they were I know not everybody's into like all the Belgian stuff all the time, but like they made beer and bread and funky, stinky cheeses, and they would actually wash the outside of the cheeses with their beer.
Yeah, you've got, you haven't had it, at least not the last time Alana was in, but the Chimay.
I haven't been able to get it lately, but yeah, that one, they make great beer and they make great cheese. Yeah, that's great.
They were my introduction to Belgian beer, and the cheese that they make is phenomenal. In fact, we'll normally buy Chimay just to pair with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, so I've got a question that I have to interject just to make sure we get to it at some point before I get lost in my notes. For those who don't know, I can barely see without my glasses, but I can't do this without sunglasses because then I don't have to see my own eyes wandering all over the screen. You seem to you seem to express yourself through hair and sunglasses, and I love it. What inspires your decisions with haircuts and colors? Yes, I prepared this morning.
Oh my gosh, some of those are from when I'm like 18. Holy crap.
I think one's a prom picture.
Yeah, the one right smack dab in the middle is my prom picture. So I have a friend who is my stylist that I trust dearly. Most of the time I go to her and I say, do whatever you feel like doing, So she's the one that has shaved my hair off and basically dyed my scalp, what was left of my hair, pink. She's done a little bit of everything to my hair over the last few years. The orange one is a wig, though.
I know. Yeah. I did figure that out.
Costume, so that was a wig. But I took my wig to the salon and I had her style it for me. But I love just to kind of let it go. I don't want to ever get old and go, oh, I wish I would have done that. It's like when you look at pictures of yourself when you were like 18 and you go, oh man, I looked way better than I thought I looked. Like I've just learned to like, just let it go, just have fun with it. I figured it's hair. It'll grow. I don't see it. Everybody else sees it more than I see it. This is as natural as I've been in years. I shaved my hair at the beginning of the pandemic, and this is just it growing out. But I just think it's fun. I don't really search things out. Like I said, I kind of give it up to my trusted friend that takes care of it for me.
Good for you. Seriously. So I had 13-inch teal Liberty spikes when I was a kid, and I've had mohawks since.
Yes.
So I'm lucky the way my hair naturally parts, it just kind of falls right there. But as this keeps going back, I keep thinking, I feel like maybe I should do a mohawk before it's too late, before it's just naturally a mohawk.
I was actually going to say, like, what are you waiting for? Just do it.
I don't know. Well, I do have a hair appointment with my boy Jerry tomorrow, so we'll see.
I think people worry too much about it being socially acceptable to have extremely different hair all the time, and I just go for it. I don't care.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, it grows back and it's fun.
Yeah. Yep. It's more just something I like to play with. I just like to kind of indulge.
Well, one of the reasons that I actually brought it up is because the cheese lady I consider like I don't want to say safe. That's not the right word, because one of my questions is actually about bringing back costume days. But it's respectable. If it's a respectable environment, which is a good thing, but
right.
You're always changing, and I think that's awesome. It was one of the things I noticed as I was going through your pictures, and I was just like, that's awesome.
Oh, shoot. Am I?
Oh, I think we lost Shelley again. I think she'll come back, hopefully. All right. In the meantime, I will let Morgan know that right now they have a 5-year chowda. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Josh Mead wants to note that he likes to pair a. Ooh, here we go. We've got a gin pairing. I can't pronounce that. I'm not even going to bother trying. Sorry, everybody. I am just trying to answer. Oh, so theme days. I'm going to talk about this while I wait for Shelley to pop on back. I can bring up the other half of the screen here. All right, that's not actually the picture I wanted. So as we wait for Shelley, when she gets back, I would like you all to badger her to bring back theme days, because this is fun, right? So this is the early days of the pandemic. We've got, sorry, I keep looking at my other screen where these photos are. We've got all the cheese. Shelley's there. She's here, but she can't actually talk yet. I'll let her in a second. We've got all of the cheese gals and the cheese lady sporting some cool gear. And here we have one of my favorite pictures the cheese lady has ever put on their Facebook. I'm not going to mention why. It might have something to do with the beer in the hand. But let us know if you think that Shelley should bring back their theme days. Oh, hey, Shelley, how you doing?
Hey, sorry about that.
You're
I'm
fine.
not at home because my connection's not that great, but I'll try to get on back as soon as I can.
No, I'm enjoying this. Every time you go out, I talk on your back. It's fine.
Okay, so you were talking about theme days.
Yes.
Oh.
Morgan wants to do a 90s theme day. But I would say that if anyone has an idea for a theme day at the Cheese Lady, drop it in the comments. And if Shelley, that's not her.
Yeah, we did a couple weeks ago do they did. I didn't dress up, but they did like a let's get dressed up kind of day. And I think we were doing some of the theme stuff back when we were still closed during the beginning of the pandemic.
That is
so.
That's when you started.
Yep.
Just a cheese girl in her cheese shop, I think is the caption from that photo.
It is, yeah. It is. It was more about showing off the shoes, but
I think I can, in fact, I've tried this. I can, in fact, zoom in on those shoes. That's kind of a good segue right into what has the last year been?
Well, it's something a business owner never wants to have to deal with. I feel like we were lucky in the decisions that we made at the beginning to really just find a way to make it work. I think there were a lot of people that were waiting for it to pass. But we were standing around with nothing else to do. So, we closed up the store and we were just doing curbside, and our customers were asking how they could support us. And I never really handed people cheese with a pole, but it was a funny picture just the same. But I feel like we really did a good job of just taking orders over the phone and trying to do our cheesemongering over the phone. Being able to kind of help people figure out what it was that they needed and help them bring it out to their car. This whole year has been kind of wild and crazy. And I've been really humbled by the support, by the community, but also I can't say enough good things about Morgan and Lydia and Jess, my core staff. These were really hard times for employees that were face to face with the customers all the time. So it's been pretty remarkable to realize what an amazing crew we've got. Because it's one thing to have good cheese. You don't always end up as lucky as I think I've been. So it's been a tough year, but a good year. We've come out of it just fine. After Christmas, we had a great season, but it was really scary for a while. I was really struggling, as all of us business owners were. All of us in general. This whole thing is a train wreck. And we're all doing the best we can do. but it's, as a business owner, it's just tough. It's just tough to try to keep everybody happy. We can't do samples, which is kind of the core of really who we are. So we as cheesemongers have been having a little bit of an existential crisis. Who and what are we? But we found that we can still help people find cheese and walk them through the whole process and explain to them what we have versus, it's so different. It's just so different. I can't wait until we can do that same stuff again. I'm used to being able to hug my customers. I'm used to being able to feed my customers. So this whole thing, the people that have continued coming in, it's been really remarkable because they don't have to come in and continue buying the same cheeses when they don't have a chance to try new stuff, and they have. So, another good thing about living in Muskegon, I don't know that you would find that everywhere. I mean, I just feel like people ask us every day, are you guys doing okay? I'm sure you've gotten the same thing. People want to know. They want to know. They want to know if they need to put a shout out on Facebook and tell all their friends to come and see you, or if you're getting by okay or not. I mean, it's been really humbling. It's been really humbling in a lot of ways, but it's been hard. It's been hard.
Yeah. I mean, I just look forward to being able to sleep again.
You what?
I look forward to being able to sleep again. Get through a full night without nightmares about something going wrong.
Yeah.
The world has changed so much, and I think for us, it's been really this same basic element that has made it, I guess, okay. Okay. We've got the team behind us that we have. They're just amazing, and then we've got the community that we have behind us, which I kept back to kind of one of my early points. Kathleen, in the early days of the Cheese Lady, proved that this community could support a niche specialty shop.
Totally.
When we opened up, people said, 1 craft brewery, good luck. 2, no way. And here we are.
Here we are, yeah. Because I think it's just not what we sell and what we do. It's the way that we bring people together. I mean, people standing in line ordering cheese become friends, and they see each other again and again, and they see each other again and again at the farmer's market. And, it just builds that community even more so. And it's totally the same thing in a brewery, of course, Yeah.
So I think I know on our end what allowed us to succeed, and that's the fact that we're Muskegon and we really like to drink beer. in the case of the Cheese Lady, not just this year, but also this year, how do you think it is that a niche specialty shop in the middle of a desolate, it looked like Beirut at the time, in the middle of Beirut, Michigan, was able to succeed?
I think that people often underestimate the fact that everybody likes good stuff. Everybody likes good stuff. Maybe somebody can't, if you look at our demographics, maybe we have a lot of lower income people in this area. Maybe they can't come in to Pigeon Hill every single week and buy beer, but they want quality. People want quality stuff. So people come into our store because they want quality. There's a need for it, there's a need for the quality stuff. People don't want subpar things, and they also want something that they feel connected with too,
I know from my perspective that rings completely true. I mentioned my early story with the Cheese Lady, where my grandmother introduced me to the Cheese Lady, and so it was, my grandmother likes this, I'll try it out. And then it became a place where it was almost a point of pride. We've got, we've got great breweries. We are Muskegon.
Right. Yeah.
This is what we do.
Right.
So there are still, unfortunately, so many naysayers, and I think that Kathy says we can all afford a guilty pleasure, no matter our economic status, and I completely believe that. For me, it's not so much. It was never really that question. I grew up not well-to-do in the Muskegon area, and this is home. And that wasn't so much the question as just there are definitely naysayers in the area, unfortunately, and they're loud. But it's obvious that they don't speak for most of us.
No, they're just loud.
They don't speak for the community.
No, they're just loud. They make a lot of noise. The people that think that the farmers market was going to, the move to the farmers market, people were up in arms about that, and it has been so successful. The farmers are selling more than they ever. Yeah.
I mean, as a downtown denizen, I used to go to the farmers market once a month, and I'll admit I still only go about once a month, but a lot of goes every single week. And it used to be we would go once a month.
Right.
Now one of us is there every single week.
Yeah, because it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's an experience in itself. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had friends from all over, at least I would say all over the Midwest who have been in town. Unfortunately not this year, but we've had friends from all over the Midwest come in and just marvel at the size of our farmers market, and B, the fact that you've got a lake breeze blowing your hair as you're shopping for produce. Right. Where else can you find that?
No, you can see the water on the lake from the market too. It's especially if you've gone anywhere else and lived anywhere else and you come back here, it's a treasure what we have in this area. It's wonderful. The natural resources that are right there for us. It's super cool.
I know when I went to, just making sure it's not Alana. Last time Alana texted me during the show, my stove was on fire. We're good. I actually meant to queue up a video of that. I've got a video of smoke billowing out of my stove from last week's show. That was the text message I got.
Oh my gosh.
I've got totally lost my train of thought. My ADHD meds have worn off, so I'm going to take a sip of my beer and then get back to it. Talk about the lake. So when I moved to Grand Valley, you never realize just how connected to the water you are until that moment it's not there. And it got to the point where once a week I would drive down Lake Michigan Drive. I would sit in my car. I would look at the water. I would turn around and I would drive back to campus.
Yeah.
For those who haven't experienced it, you just don't realize what an amazing part of life it can be.
Right. I agree. Big time.
Which leads into a good question about nature. What is the best cheese to take camping or backpacking that can go 2 to 3 days without refrigeration?
We have a cheese that we have always called our pocket cheese, and it's Mahone. It's kind of made like a cheddar, but it's square. It's square, and they make it they put cloth on both sides and they tie knots in the corner. So it ends up being a square wheel, but that cheese is nice and aged. And we have taken it camping and kayaking, and it doesn't need refrigeration for a while, but we call it our pocket cheese, Mahone. Otherwise, even Parmesan, it's got to be something a couple years old, but the Mahone is that's kind of our go-to when people ask that question.
So you have pocket cheese, Alana has purse cheese. I swear,
without
fail, if I ask Alana for a piece of cheese, there's some in her purse. It's It's a little creepy, to be honest.
No, she's doing the right thing. Yeah.
Pam asked if the location of the farmers market, along with the vintage shops, which I am a huge fan of. For those who don't know, I love, I'm just going to say it, old shit. That's my quote. I love old shit. Sorry for swearing on the show. Have they increased your foot traffic?
Well, definitely. How long has the farmers market been there? Like 5 or 6 years, 7 years, maybe? We definitely saw an increase in business on those Saturdays, for sure. And definitely having those shops near us too have helped without a doubt. Anything downtown that's come downtown has helped us, really.
We absolutely see the same thing. before Pigeon Hill was the cheese lady, but then when we were doing our build out back in 2013, 2014, I joke, but quite seriously, because I tried it, I joke that I could park my car across Western Avenue on a Friday night at 7 o'clock, literally across the street, and it wouldn't bother anybody.
Probably not.
I was entirely correct because there was no traffic back then. You know, I mean, the cheese lady was the destination downtown, but with each shop or retailer, you know, or an office building, and now these residential buildings, it's kind of incredible to drive downtown on a blustery Sunday, or well, Sundays are actually always
Sundays are sort of dead. But
no, I take that one back. But on a Saturday, I actually still like Sundays because I can run in the middle of the road. But on a blustery Saturday at 3 o'clock, and you're going, all right, where am I going to park? I'm not sure. Where to park.
It's a cool change. It was interesting when the farmers market went in. One of the things people complained about a lot was there wasn't going to be any parking. Oh, we're not going to have any parking downtown. There's no room for a farmers market with parking. And I used to just dream of there being a parking problem downtown. That means there's like real stuff going on. Like, come on, bring it on. Let's have a real parking problem, because then we're moving in the right direction. I mean, not that we want it to be god awful downtown, but it's like there's no reason that it shouldn't be busy, that there shouldn't be some, it's just too cool downtown.
Anyone that complains about parking, I ask how far they had to drive or how far. And I mean, moving home from Chicago, the parking problem is when I have to walk a mile.
Yes.
And in Muskegon, a parking problem is when I have to walk 1.5 blocks to 2 blocks.
It's never that bad. No, it's never like Chicago bad or Detroit bad or no.
So this is actually kind of amazing. We know exactly how far it is between the Cheese Lady and the Brewers Lounge, where I'm currently located. It is 84 miles, which is walk to the L each way. Actually, it was less than I had to walk to the L to get on it, and from the L to my school when I lived in Chicago.
So totally within walking distance. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful problem to have more activity on your main drag and to have to park a few blocks away. If we had, which we have had some issues with handicap parking. I do know that, and I hope they've been remedied. But if people were parking 2 miles away in downtown Muskegon, that's an issue. But we're not.
Well, no, they're not. No.
Because downtown Muskegon isn't 2 miles long.
Nope.
Let's see. I think so we have a lot of love for Purse Cheese right now, which I'm really happy. I think Alana will be really happy as well. I had a couple that I really wanted to make sure I hit on. Total off the wall. What's the coolest thing you've ever crocheted?
Probably the coolest thing I've ever crocheted. I made a big blanket once for my niece that had like a ballerina on it, and it took forever. That was probably the coolest thing I've ever crocheted. There are a lot of like super cool things you can crochet. I'm sorry, crochet, I don't make it because I think it's cool at all. I mean, most of the time it's not. I do it just because I enjoy doing it. I'm currently working on like a little Bernie Sanders right now. So that's going to be pretty cool when I get done with it.
I have a Bernie Sanders onesie. I would not wear that on camera. We are apolitical at Pigeon Hill. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah.
Free.
I'm just recreating the picture of him at inauguration with the gloves. And so it's going to be pretty cute when it's done.
That's awesome. I do still want some, what do they call them? Sweatins? Some sweater.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I don't even remember this skit. The Monty Python. How do you feel about the Monty Python cheese shop skit? I don't know it.
You're gonna have to look it up
I will.
now that it's been talked about. So a gentleman walks into a cheese shop and asks for all of these wonderfully absurd named cheeses, and they have none of them. And that's pretty much the whole skit. But if you're a Monty Python fan, you have to watch it. And it's just brilliant and dry and wonderful and absurd.
I have not watched it. I've watched all the movies multiple times. Well, Life of Brian and The Grail. I chase my dogs around the house. My dogs have these wood salad bowls for food dishes, and I chase them around the house before dinner time every night.
Yes.
My dogs love me.
sounds like they would. Yes.
Yeah. So, Pete, thank you for that recommendation. That's probably what Alana and I are going to do tonight.
It's not a long skit, so. Yeah.
All right, I have to get, and don't worry, we have plenty more questions to go. I'm just making sure I hit the ones before my eyes go crossed. I hit the ones that I really need answered. So this one is, what do we need in downtown Muskegon, and why is the Thai restaurant? I'm pushing this point home.
So were you ever here when Joby, she sells at the farmer's market, and she was selling at Health Hut. She had Thai Tuesday. Were you ever here, Mike, when that was going on?
If we were, when was it?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago. So you had to be
been here, but yeah, I just didn't know about it.
Somebody needs to figure out how to get her to be a cook at one of the restaurants around here. I mean, we have some vacancies recently. I don't want to mention names because it's sad that restaurants have closed during these times, but she would be the one. I mean, she's the real deal. A Thai restaurant would be terrific. I, of course, being a crocheter, would love to have a yarn shop downtown. Totally nerdy, but there is like fancy artisanal made like yarn that I would like to be able to get my hands on. What was it? Thai restaurant. I think just more restaurants in general would be nice. I mean, for those of us that work or live downtown, the amount of restaurants we have is just not enough for the amount of eating out that we do. It's just variety would be nice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But a Thai restaurant would be wonderful. I agree with you.
It's literally on my list of notes for every week. So I'm just going to belabor this point until it happens. I know during the pandemic, during the shutdowns at least, we've only eaten out once a week. But in the typical times, our lives are just so busy that we're frequently eating out at least 3 times a week, if not 4. And I mean, part of that is just being able to support local. Part of it is just how busy our lives are. And I'm really impressed with the caliber of food that we have here. I mean, that was a concern coming from Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. And even just from my, many moons ago being in Ann Arbor, they have so many good restaurants. Yeah, no, we have some really great restaurants, but it's just it's the variety. So Thai makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Ethiopian would be cool too.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
That's something that I'm going to add to my list to cook at home. I've been making Moroccan more frequently, but I haven't had Ethiopian food in probably a decade. So that would be really nice. So we need Thai, Ethiopian, and a yarn.
And what? A yarn shop, yeah. Yarn shop. Yep.
So, I mean, kind of leading off of that, for someone who wants to come in and open one of these yarn shops, Thai restaurants, Ethiopian restaurants in downtown Muskegon, what's your biggest piece of advice?
I think probably one of the things that's helped us a lot is knowing that we're part of the bigger picture. Being, instead of having like this finite mindset where we're really worried about our business day to day, week to week. For an example, just to explain a little bit better, like when bike time was going on downtown, it was a deterrence for a lot of our customers. A lot of people wouldn't come downtown because they thought it was going to be unruly bikers. But we would never have gone out of our way to not support it, or, I mean, we actually supported it. You have to think of the bigger picture. What's good for downtown is ultimately good for you. So I think like when people get nitpicky on a lot of like, oh, this isn't good for me, or this, you know, sometimes even healthy competition is good for you. Having another brewery in town is good for one brewery. You know, people are often afraid of that. So I think having kind of that bigger picture, like what's good for downtown, it's a piece of it. I don't think it's all of it, but I mean, I think it really helps, because otherwise I think you're going to internally have these enemies that are your neighbors because they're doing something that's cramping your style one day, when in reality, if it's helping downtown, it might be helping it, you know, anything that helps downtown helps you. I think it's just a good way to think about it.
I mean, I would completely agree, because one of the things that we always think about is the fact that part of our success is not the result of our efforts, it's the results of the community's efforts, which in large part includes the other business owners. You know,
Right.
If you were to come in and open a shop tomorrow, as long as well, frankly, even if you are a jerk, we're probably going to promote it, depending on what kind of jerk you are. You know, as long as you're not a jerk that completely violates our ethics and morals, we're probably going to support you.
We're on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge key to success in downtown Muskegon, is come in with a mindset of being a good neighbor, and your neighbors will prove to you that they want to be the same.
Yeah, you're part of it. You're part of a bigger team. You know, you want to build up this so that, say, 20 years down the road, you know, all of a sudden people don't like cheese, and it's a thing nobody's eating cheese anymore. The cheese lady is gone. It's not the only draw to downtown. I'm not saying that's going to happen ever, but like, you know, there have to be other things going on that are going to support a downtown area. And I can't, you know, it's just about you got to support everybody else around you. You've got to be supportive, even if it's not good for you at that every moment and every inch of the way. I think it's easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, that might be the best piece, other than have if you're Kathleen, don't have a business plan, because everyone would talk you out of it. Because who's going to open a cheese shop in Beirut, Muskegon, Michigan? But
I think she got lucky on that. Don't have a business plan part. Yeah.
You know, you have a good business plan, but beyond that, just plan to be a part of the community. And I actually think that that's a way that we're different from a lot of other cities, especially in West Michigan, where anyone can succeed right now, as long as they come in with, you know, a little bit of capital and a good business plan, or at least a moderately good business plan.
Right.
And they want to be a part of the community.
Well, they don't even need to start with a brick and mortar. I mean, go to the farmer's market. That's how Kathleen started. You know, you can just go down there and test the waters. You know, it's kind of we have so many ways for people to just kind of try stuff out. We have a whole entire incubator kitchen for anybody that's making food stuff to come in and, you know, see how it works. And they help you with packaging and promoting and everything else. So, and the market itself brings you all the people. So if you don't succeed there, then okay, plan B. What are you going to do next? You know?
Maybe don't try that. Maybe buy a camper van. But, you know, we have the chalets, which I've watched numerous businesses go from the chalets onto brick and mortars. Or they realize, you know what, this wasn't for me. But they did it in a good way. You know, they did it without busting the bank.
It's a way to do it so that people are kind of inching their way into it. And again, it's like that organic sort of thing that the cheese lady went through, where Kathleen just started at the market and had a tiny little shop and then bought a store. So, you know, bought a building. So it's kind of the same baby steps, you know, that people can take those risks. They're not outrageous outrageous steps to take.
Absolutely. I mean, we were three guys with, I joke about this, but so Pigeon Hill was three guys with literally the money our wives would let us take out of the bank accounts. And in my case, it was pretty much nothing because I was a broke ass. See, now I'm the one swearing this week. Last week it was Michael, because I was a broke but recent law graduate. And, we started with nothing.
Right.
But when you come out and you take the path that is in front of you that doesn't require all of that capital, and you embrace the community here embraces you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you follow what you're into. It's cool that you guys were able to like go, hey, let's give this a shot and see if it works. That's another thing that's unique about Muskegon. How many people could do that with whatever it is that their wife allowed them to take out of the account and make it work, So we're unique in a lot of ways. We're not outrageous as far as our prices to do something like that in like Chicago. You wouldn't do that in Chicago. No, there's no way. So
that was part of the reason I moved home.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this, and I had no idea how, and no real money, no real skills other than being a lawyer. And I was like, well, Muskegon's probably the best bet.
Yep.
And it worked.
It was one of the reasons we moved back, is we could buy a house and have a mortgage payment for under $1,000 versus like $3,000 to rent a house. So the big cities are tough, and you don't get to always like do cool stuff like this. Like in Chicago or Ann Arbor or big cities, would we be able to do the things we're doing now? So it's another cool thing about Muskegon, is that you can do these sort of things. And if you're lucky and you're doing the right stuff, people support you. It's cool.
Oh, it is. That's why we're here. That and the water, the community, and a million and one reasons. All right. I just realized that I should probably think of a trivia question, but I have some other questions. But we'll get to that after the trivia question, because if I don't do it right now, I'll forget. I'm extremely ADHD. I literally have to think of it right now, though.
There's medicine for that, just so you know.
Yeah, but then I can't sleep.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I'm ADHD as well, so I get it.
All right. So we're going to come up with a trivia question right now. I hope everyone is ready. I'm just stalling as I think of said trivia question. So prepare your typing fingers. Shelley, what is your favorite hair color you've ever had? Do you have one?
Yes.
Okay. And go.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want people to?
Go ahead and answer, everyone. When you see it in the comments, go ahead and squint. As soon as you see it, we've got red, purple.
Nope. Oh, I do like all these colors. I love red. I love pink. I love purple.
Last week's answer was hippos wearing tutus. I didn't want to get that complex. So.
Oh, what was the question?
Favorite animal?
Jeez, Louise.
We've got purple, blue.
Nope. I do love blue. I love my blue hair. I love all these, but they're not my favorite. Orange was pretty fun too, but that's not my favorite.
Black.
Nope, that's not my favorite.
Yellow, silver, lime, green, gray.
Gray. Yep. Gray.
I think Lachelle just won that.
Yeah, she did. Yep. So gray. So when I was younger, before my hair was naturally gray, I have spent so much time trying to get beauticians to make my hair gray. So gray is my favorite. True
story. It is now that I'm finally actually turning gray, which thankfully this light doesn't completely show that. Well, actually, I say that, but now that I'm finally legitimately turning gray, I don't know if I feel exactly the same way, but I think I do. That was growing up. I dyed my hair all kinds of colors. And one color that I could never get my hair to turn.
Was gray.
And
yeah.
it was, I just wanted like this classic gray hair.
Yes, or silver, gray or silver, like that. Just like even platinum wasn't good enough. Like I wanted it to have that grayish color. It's cool that you colored your hair all those colors. I didn't know that.
Yeah, awesome. I was.
You had a mohawk. You can't just have a natural colored mohawk ever.
I bought my mom allowed me to buy a Sex Pistols album when I was in, I think it was 6th or 7th grade, and it changed my life.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, I went to Spring Lake High School.
Oh.
Not quite the punk rock scene that we had at the Pick here in Muskegon, but.
Oh, you mean the haunted? It's haunted now. You know, there were people that went through there with all their gear to like the ghost hunters were at Hamburger Mikey's looking for ghosts. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I saw some things there.
If any place in town is going to have them, it's going to be there. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, some of my, I was in Muskegon until middle school, and then I was in Spring Lake, and all of my high school memories of Muskegon are at the Ice Pick. Yep. And it was a place. There was something about it.
Yeah. It had a smell.
Yes, Lachelle, I do.
Aw. I love her music knowledge.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. My punk collection is actually pretty sad on vinyl. I've got the Pistols, the New York Dolls, and the Buzzcocks, and I think that's it. But I'm working on it. Amy is my right hand, for those who don't know, my right hand gal. She basically keeps me sane and is my filter and my sensor here at Pigeon Hill. And she's also the one responding as Pigeon Hill. She got me a gift card to Third Coast. So nice. We bought some vinyl there, but I told myself that I was going to buy that on something that wasn't jazz, because that's what I own the most of.
Oh, yeah, go get some Dead Kennedys or something. Yes.
Some Jello. Oh, yeah. Done.
Black Flag. Get some of that.
I do enjoy Rollins, although Rollins kind of went off the deep end later in life. But
I'm talking the old stuff, though.
Yeah.
The real stuff. Not now. No.
Yeah. We've got a ton of love for Amy coming in here, and I would totally agree with all of that.
We love Amy. We do.
Yeah, Bad Religion. If they have Bad Religion, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Now that I say that out loud. But so yes, I still do listen to a lot of punk music, but it's always with the AirPods in, because isn't that how culture works these days?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh man. That's all right.
I do love getting records. I do love getting records though, because I play it for my kids, and I wouldn't normally just pull out my phone and hook it up to a speaker and play that stuff for them. So when I go there and I buy some of that more obscure stuff, it's really fun to show them, and then they wonder what's wrong. They wonder what's wrong with me, but that's okay.
One of the most amazing things for me is I listen to albums as they were intended to be listened to again.
Yes.
We all get in this habit of, I'm going to put this song on my playlist and that song on my playlist. And in my case, I'm going to skip from Chet Baker to Notorious B.I.G. to, might be Carl Orff, depending on the day. I might literally make those big swings, but I never look at the albums anymore.
Right.
And once you play it on vinyl, you're invested. And I love that.
Yeah, and it used to be fun to get a record and just sit there and stare at it's fun just to listen to it and stare at the artwork, because that's a whole thing in itself too, whole thing in itself.
Oh yeah. We just.
So big shout out to Third Coast for sure. They're awesome. I love them so
huge
much.
Addition to Muskegon.
Yeah, no doubt. And they're doing such a great job doing curbside. They're accommodating everybody that wants music. It's great.
Yeah, We have bought, I feel really guilty about this. I've not been inside the shop. We've bought albums from them, but it's all been post-pandemic. And so
you got to wait until they're open. There's something about digging through.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Digging through the records. It's this,
Yeah, there have been a few cases where it was like, all right, I really know that I want this specific album, so we're going to buy it. But otherwise, I want to go in and I want to see what I can find.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's fun to dig, and they've got everything. So
they do. I mean, they've great broad selection. All right, I just saw a picture, or I just saw your arm. So we're going to add this picture because it was one of my questions. The lower arm is yours.
Correct.
Tell us about it.
So the lower arm is mine, but I'll mention that the upper arm actually belongs to Crystal, who owns the Tish downtown, the salon. But I woke up about a year and a half ago. This is the first ink that I've gotten. I woke up about a year and a half ago. I'm 47 now, so I just kind of feel like there are some things that I want to do in my life, and getting a tattoo has been one of them. And I thought about all the different things that I wanted, but I just woke up one day and I said, today's the day I'm going to figure out what it is that I want. And this book was on my nightstand that had this artwork in it. And it's, so there's an artist named Hilma af Klint, who is a Swedish artist, and she was absolutely bonkers. She would have seances with 4 other women. And this is in like 1905, and they would interpret what they heard or what information they received into art. Well, she actually kind of like took it the next step. I think she went off the deep end, and they probably were like, okay, this is crazy. But this is kind of a deconstruction of a piece of her art called, she has something called the 10, and it basically goes from childhood to being a toddler, to being a kid, to a teenager. Each artwork represents a different stage of life. And this is the adult one that's deconstructed by Michael Villanueva. I have such a hard time saying his name, but he did a really great job of breaking it down for me. But I went in one day, and the day that I woke up and decided that I wanted to have it done, I picked out a piece of art. I went down and asked him to do it. And I think I went back about a week later and had him do that for me. So the one on the bottom is my piece of art. It's not mine, but it's the one that I wanted.
Oh, it is yours.
Yeah. So
we all make those choices. Yeah. So I have to give a shout out to Michael as well. Really simple outline, but this was my first one below my shirt sleeves.
Okay.
So it was a very big deal to me. My brothers and I have Alex and Danny and I went in at the same time and got matching tattoos, and it was actually my Christmas present. Thank you, Alex.
That's cool. I like it.
So it was the first time I went below the sleeve, which was and for me it was kind of scary, but it was liberating too.
Well, I guess I just went all out because
you said no. We're just going to do this.
Mine is the only one I have is from above my elbow and down, and I plan on adding to that, and I really want to add more of her artwork. She had this like weird vision that she was going to show all of her work in a building that had like a circular floor with glass ceilings, and it actually ended up all being shown at the Guggenheim, and I was able to go and see it, which the Guggenheim is a spiral building with a glass ceiling. And when she talked about that would not have been invented yet. And when she died, she said, I don't want anybody to know anything about me until 20 years after my death. So like even Frank Lloyd Wright that made the Guggenheim in New York didn't even know who she was. So I don't know. I get into that kind of stuff. It's sort of fun. It's sort of fun. Artists are crazy. I love them.
I mean, I think we actually talked about art last week, or maybe there was, I don't know, I had some crazy dreams last night. So maybe that's when I talked about art. But it's incredible to me how art is so individual and yet so communal. It's so, it means something to each of us, and yet at the same time, there is nothing that can bring us together like art. Like we just bonded over the Sex Pistols, of not so obscure 1970s band anymore, but and then
it's art though, for sure.
Art is it's one of those threads of humanity that really just ties us all together.
Agreed. I agree. And we have a really great, not to promote Muskegon necessarily more, because most of the people on here, we have an amazing art museum. We really do. We really, really do. I love our museum. They bring so many awesome things into the area. I really want them to bring some of her artwork someday, but we'll see.
I'm not on the board there, so I can't help. But if there's anything you want at the History Museum, Lakeshore Museum Center, I'll do what I can.
They're pretty cool too, but they aren't going to bring that in.
No, probably not. No, but you're actually right. So you said that people know, but they really don't understand just how what we have. I think a lot of people have never even been in the art museum, and they don't realize they can afford to go, and B, it's incredible the collection we have here.
Incredible. They change the stuff that they bring in for us. I almost feel like we're not worthy all the time.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I grew up very, very lucky to have a grandmother who drove me to Chicago to see, Gauguin, Monet, Van Gogh, every time they came to town. And some of our better moments were just going to the Muskegon Museum of Art, because we have this incredible collection right here. And now I have to do a shout out. I have to do a sales pitch. We also have the Lakeshore Museum Center, which I'm my guest in 2 weeks. I am on the board, and it's one place that I actually failed to go for about 4 years, and after I moved back home, and I regretted it because like the Hackley House and the Hume Home. You want to talk about art?
Yes. And I think a lot of people just, I don't know. I almost feel like wouldn't it be cool to start a campaign of just like, who in the area has lived here this whole time that haven't done these things? Like, can we get a funding for that so people feel like it's paid for and it's okay for them to go and just experience? Because you shouldn't live here and not know. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the art museum, the Lakeshore Museum Center is free for county residents.
That's right.
And then the art museum, I don't know about this year because I'm a member. That was one of my big COVID. Actually, that's where my stimulus check went. I put it on local restaurants and local museums, but I'm very lucky to have been able to do that. And so we can go anytime. But as far as I know, the Thursdays were still free at the Museum of Art, and so anybody can go.
Yeah,
and you can experience that.
Yeah. Which is, it's super wonderful, the stuff they bring in for us.
Yeah, we're lucky. I don't know what their plans are at the Muskegon Museum of Art now that things have obviously been a little topsy-turvy, but they had some great plans for 2021. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see those come to fruition.
They replaced their the Festival of Trees usually takes place in
Shelley, I'm going to put up that banner I warned you about, and you're going to talk about the Festival of Trees.
Okay.
You've got to cover me for about a minute.
Okay. I hope you made a banner for me. I hope you made the same banner for me, because I
can do that.
Okay. So Festival of Trees is something that the Art Museum's done for a long time. I don't know how many years they've done it, but what they do is they have all of these trees that are decorated, and people come in and they bid on them. And this year, of course, they couldn't do the Festival of Trees. So instead, they did the Festival of Wreaths, which was super cool because of course, I think it's cool because we were one of the locations. So they put one of these wreaths in front of our shop, and people were able to come by, and if they wanted to bid on them, they created an app on your phone so you could do that. So we had all of a sudden one Saturday when this started, people were walking all over downtown. It was really, really cool to see everybody walking downtown. I loved it. Did anybody else check that out? Did you guys see it? I thought it was wonderful. I put one bid in for the one that we had on our store because I loved it so much. It was like kind of a bohemian looking wreath. I really wanted it, but let's see. Anybody else see that, or did anybody go down and check it out? I was really impressed with it. I thought it was really neat, and you could actually see all the ones on the app before you actually went and had to go to the different locations. So what it did is it got you to go downtown and walk around to all the different businesses and check all the different wreaths out. I just thought it was a cool idea. So even if they bring back the Festival of Wreaths or Festival of Trees, that are going to be the decorated trees in the building, I really hope that they do the Festival of Wreaths, because that was just super duper cool. Oh, I don't remember which one you guys had. And I don't know if that's Bethany or Brittany talking for the Only Cannoli, but I don't remember which one you guys had. But I just loved the whole idea. They were all over on 3rd Street, up and down Western. It was wonderful.
Sorry about that.
All right. You're fast.
I just lost my ears. Come on, AirPods. All right, I am back.
So I really hope that they continue the Festival of Wreaths, because I think it was just a cool thing. I don't think there's enough outdoor winter activities in our community. I think a lot of times people just hunker away inside, and we can go outside and do all these things if we can't do them together face to face. I think it's super cool.
One of the things that we were talking about, and I totally missed that entire conversation. I apologize. My AirPods.
It was just me talking. I mean, it wasn't a conversation, but that's okay.
But one of the things that we were talking about earlier was the fact that parking is becoming more difficult, and so people have to walk. And I know that's not an option for everybody. I completely understand that.
Absolutely.
But I think most of us could, we can benefit from some fresh air. We can not just physically, but mentally. And by learning more about our downtown area. When you walk from point A to point B, you're not in the car ignoring everything on the side. You're actually taking it in. You're seeing things you would never see. Like the time I randomly walked past a Banksy in New Orleans, and it was like, holy cow, there's a Banksy right there.
Yeah.
Something I would have missed if I was in an Uber. And the event, like the Festival of Wreaths, brought people in and had them walk from A to B to C and really get to experience downtown.
Yep, and everybody was bundled up. They had beers in their hands because of I really don't think they're supposed to wander down where they wandered, but I think they've opened it up over by Rake and Us now, I think, is like a new thing. At the time, maybe they weren't supposed to. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that, but it was just cool. It was really cool to see people out and about just checking out all the artwork, whether they liked it or not. I mean, that was the other interesting thing, is we had a lot of people coming in and commenting on the ones that we had. It was just fun. I really hope that they do it again. That was super cool.
Me too. I mean, I honestly, I do enjoy the Festival of Trees. I think it's a great opportunity for the community.
Agreed.
And I would love to see it happen again, but the festive, maybe in conjunction with the festival.
I think they should do both. I think it's wonderful, I mean, some people can make a wreath, but they can't decorate a whole tree. So, I mean, I think maybe that might be another part of it too. I think it's super cool. Okay, can you throw up one of those banners for me?
I can. I didn't even prepare it, but I'll just put it up right now. I can do this.
Okay,
I'll return momentarily.
I'll be right back.
All right. Are there any questions for me while Shelley will return momentarily? A cookie crawl. So this is another example of a great idea that we saw executed in downtown Muskegon this year. That it was a cookie crawl. So you bought a cookie tin, and sorry, I'm reading comments as they come in as well. You bought a cookie tin, and you got to go to all these downtown businesses to pick up a cookie that was produced by mostly downtown bakeries or Muskegon bakeries. And so it supported the Muskegon bakeries. In our case, we used the Only Cannoli If you have not been to the Only Cannoli, you can head down there, grab lunch on 3rd Street. Hamburger Mikey is there. You can grab Indian food. You can go to the Griffin's Rest and grab some board games. We play a lot of games from the Griffin's Rest. Hit up Third Coast, grab some vinyl, and then go to the Only Cannoli for your dessert on the way out of town. But that's where we got ours. I totally got distracted there. I apologize. That's how I roll. So Cookie Crawl. We brought in a bunch of downtown businesses, and you could buy this tin, walk around for a set price. I actually don't know what it was. I think it was $20. And you got a ton of cookies from local downtown businesses that were all made by local bakeries or by the businesses themselves. And, oh, we love you too, Only Cannoli. I buy my brewers cannolis every now and again. They get really excited. And,
sorry. We didn't make our cookies, just so you know.
We didn't. Oh, Shelley's back. I'm going to delete that one so I don't hit it again. We didn't either.
Okay.
No, I just keep hitting things. Let me, here we go. Pigeon Hill loves the ladies. So the Cookie Crawl gave you a chance to go to all these businesses, get these cookies, but most importantly, it gave you a chance to actually get to visit some of these businesses you might not know were in downtown Muskegon, which I think was probably the best aspect of it. That and the cookies that Alana brought home that I consequently did most of. So I don't know if I can, there we go. Let me get rid of this banner that.
I think when there's not the pandemic, so the depot does depot to depot, which is pretty cool too. And that brings people around to all the businesses as well.
It's a big train again tonight. Sorry.
Aw, don't forget Valley. Aw.
I didn't forget Valley. Sorry. All right. It's actually not a medium train tonight. Can you hear the train?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's going to be my new favorite aspect of Tuesdays with Michael is how big is the train?
Yes, I can hear it. I'm actually not far from it, so.
From the depot? Are you?
I'm in Muskegon, but I'm not going to reveal my location because I'm by myself. But I will tell everybody tomorrow where I was tonight. It's really cool. There's a really neat new Airbnb downtown that I'm staying at tonight, just because I knew I was going to be drinking and the roads are crap. So.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Responsible drinking is the name of the game.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to post.
Oh, Morgan, just stop.
Kathy, I honestly don't know the answer to that question. That would be a question for anyone. If there's anyone from the city who's watching tonight, please chime in. Did the money from the Cookie Crawl go to charity? I think so. It was minimal enough that it may have mostly covered costs.
But it was through the city.
It was through the city, so it must have.
I think I can't remember how much people paid. Do you remember how much people paid?
I thought it was $20.
Yeah, so
they get a custom tin.
Yeah, they get like a tin, and there's also just all the time and effort of community, like the organizing and everything. They had staff that was taking care of it, so I don't know that it actually made any money. And then most of us were donating. I mean, we all donated.
Yeah, we all donated the cookies.
So I don't know that it was necessary. See, I hear. Can you hear?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I hear it right now.
One of my favorite parts of my office is I get to watch the train go by 3 to 4 times a day.
Yeah. We used to live in that when we first moved to Ann Arbor. From Ann Arbor, we lived in the Amazon building, and that was super cool to hear the train go through.
It's we actually had this conversation last night. It's a good thing and a bad thing.
It's a good thing and a bad thing. I agree.
You know, when it comes through at 4 in the morning and it's foggy, it's a bad thing. Really speaking, it's a good thing. The trains have really increased in frequency and size in the last 2 years that we've had our offices here, and still to this day, like if a big train's coming through, the whole office we've got
shakes.
Well, the whole office shakes, but you just start getting messages: big train, big train, big train.
Yeah. Trains are cool like that. They'll never not be cool. They're just cool. Yeah. It's like it's one of my favorite ways to travel for sure.
I've always wanted to take the train across the country.
I've taken it as far as Colorado, and it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. Yeah. That's when they start having like the big glass, like inside, like the whole cabin that's glass. So you can just sit there and look at everything, and you go through all sorts of tunnels. It's really beautiful. It's a great way to see the country for sure.
It is absolutely on my bucket list. I think I'm probably going to wait a year to 2.5 years at this point, but just because I don't want to have to wear a mask in an enclosed space while I sleep for 5 days. But we'll get there.
Yeah, traveling just seems a little tricky in general right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Kathy said it was $25, so it was $25 for the tin. So.
I'm guessing the tin probably cost 10 to 15. The tin itself, because they were custom branded, and they were low quantity. I'm just literally spitballing, and if someone from the city can.
And then just all the time and effort that it went into coordinating it, the city pays for that in a way as well. So I don't think there was necessarily money raised for it, though. There are all sorts of fundraisers going on through downtown. I'm sure you guys get hit up for stuff all the time for fundraisers. Well, actually, there haven't been as many fundraisers. I just got a donation box for Dancing with the Local Stars to put on my counter. They usually make a ton of money every year with their big event, and they're not having it this year. So if anybody wants to come in and throw some money in that, they give all their money to I think the kids basket, kids food basket, not kid basket. Yeah. So many of those things it's food for the community. So Dancing with the Local Stars, if anybody wants to stop in and throw some money in that, they've got something sitting there, but they haven't really announced it to the community. I don't know how they would necessarily, but they do a great job. It's this time of year usually.
I believe Pine Street Mercantile, which is where I spend too much of my money, things. Actually sent me a Facebook message that I haven't responded to yet. So if they're watching, I apologize. They sent me a Facebook message right before we started asking about, is it called the Kick the Can event?
That could be something different.
Okay. Well, I think they said it was for the women's auxiliary, somehow tied to Dancing with the Local Stars. So I was going to reach out to them tomorrow, but it sounded like it was a bucket. But I mean, bigger point on my end would be anything that you can do to help the local charities. I know we as a company are still donating, but obviously our resources are a little more limited than they have been in previous years, and our ability to gather donations are a little more limited. I'm going to do a personal plug real quick since we brought up Kids Food Basket. I'll be running a 340-mile race in June. And maybe next week, if I've got my page set up, I'll be plugging a fundraising effort that I'm tying to my race for Kids Food Basket specifically.
Nice.
There are so many ways that we as a community, you're running your first 5K. Raise money for something. Raise money for a charity that matters, because right now all of these charities are struggling because people are getting some money and people maybe can't give quite as much, but there just aren't opportunities to raise money.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when people are kind of, tightening up their spending, one of the first things they're going to get rid of are some of the donations that they would normally do. And that makes sense. You're not going to give money if you're not making it, but definitely, we've got something for Dancing with the Local Stars, and it all goes back to food stuff, just like Irish Festival, Oh my gosh, Irish Festival is a huge one that gives money to the community. I can't even imagine anything in this area touches what they make in the course of that weekend.
No, what they donate. I mean, what they make is what they donate.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, Irish Festival is not making anyone rich.
No. Let's ask Chris Zart. How rich are you, Chris?
Yeah, and Michelle's been on here for most of the conversation, if she still is. Nobody gets rich from Irish Festival.
Oh yeah,
Nobody
that's
makes
right.
money from Irish Festival except the
It
local.
all goes back to our community. It all goes back to our community, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm not going to be running any races for any money, though. Sorry, you have to come to my store and just put it in my can. I'm not a runner.
You can walk a 5K.
I'm good.
We can do at least 5K.
I'll find another way to raise the money. I'm good.
Well, they have beer miles. We could do a cheese mile. In the beer mile, you have to drink a can of beer every quarter mile. We could do a cheese mile where it's like a quarter pound of cheese every quarter mile.
I would do that. See, somebody needs to think outside of the box here. Not all of us are going to be driven by beer to run or walk, but cheese, I would do that.
That actually sounds so terrifying to me, but I would try it. Just once.
Just once, yeah. And then it will never be a thing ever again.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone will allow you to host it again. I see, like, especially if you do like a beer mile and a cheese mile side by side. I could see that being messy.
I think it's the only way you can do it, beer and cheese.
There was an eggnog mile that was published recently.
I don't like eggnog that much.
I don't like it at all, so
I don't get it. Yeah.
So, all right. I think I actually can't even read the clock on my computer. All right. I am going to try and get home because I have a meeting in the morning, but
all right.
We don't have to sign off just yet. Are there any more questions for Shelley before I ask her my final question? Let me see if I have any other pictures I have to show. I'm still looking at your shoes here. There we go. Any more questions? If not, then Shelley, I think I have the most important question of the night, which is, what is your perfect day in Muskegon?
Ooh. My what?
What is your perfect day in Muskegon County?
I think, if I have a day off, I can do whatever I want to do.
What are those?
I know. My perfect day off would be, I would love to have a Saturday where I can go down to the farmer's market, buy some cheese from the cheese lady, go and grab some bread from Laughing Tree Bakery, grab all the veg and stuff that I need. Probably take my kids on a hike around or go to the beach in the afternoon. But one of my favorite things to do is actually, I love going to the beach in the evening. I love going after everybody is gone. So like 6 o'clock and after is my favorite time to go to the beach. It's not hot and you can still really just enjoy the water. It's one of my favorite things about living here is just those evening-ish swims. Of course it's sunny till 10:30, so it doesn't feel like 6 o'clock feels now. So I think just being able to be with my family, going to the farmer's market, there's tons of businesses I could plug and the fun places I would shop and the things that I would do. But the most important part would be like getting to the water in the evening, and just winding. It's just a perfect day perfect way to end your day, and going to the farmer's market's the perfect way to start your day. Sorry.
That means you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love the farmer's market and I love our beach.
It's the best beach definitely in Michigan, but I would argue one of the best in the world.
I agree. Yep, I agree.
I frequently do Google searches for beach because I try and find Creative Commons images that I can use for various things. And at the end of the day, I just kind of revert to my Muskegon beach pictures because they're really better.
We have, Muskegon. I love since I'm in Whitehall now, I love like Duck Lake State Park. I love the parks up in Montague. But I mean, all of our beaches. Muskegon. I lived in Lakeside for about 16 years. So I loved going out to Pure Marquette all the time. Our beaches are amazing.
They are.
Yeah.
We are stupid lucky.
Stupid lucky. Yeah, we're rich. Was what we are.
We are, and we don't need to be money rich because it's Muskegon.
Well,
it's cheapish.
Cheap. Yeah, compared to big cities, it is. Yeah, for sure.
It really is. All right, I am going to kick you off. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, but stick around for a second, and we'll chat after I kill the broadcast. So, everybody, I apologize for. I'm going to throw that right up there. Jane Austen, you are a great author, and I agree, we are blessed. I apologize for stopping this conversation. I'm just going to start telling Alana that I'm not going to be home, and I'm going to start sleeping in my cot here at Pigeon Hill because apparently I should never try and put a timer on these conversations. I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined us again. You keep sticking with us, and I keep wondering why. But I'm having a blast, and so as long as you keep watching, we'll keep doing this. Thanks to Shelley for joining us. This was awesome. Hopefully I'll see you all next week. We've got Bob Lukens from Visit Muskegon. I am really hoping that we can get him good and drunk and have a bunch of fun talking about Muskegon, the reason that Muskegon is better than Chicago, where he's from, and how we brought him here from Chicago. And all of the great things that we're looking forward to happening in this area in the coming year, and how we as downtown residents, or not just downtown, but how we as county residents can be tourists in our own home. That's actually the part I'm most excited about, just, the things that we miss in our daily lives. So that's going to be next week. Until then, have a great time, and thank you all. Hopefully I'll see you there.